What kind of people don't cats like? In the grand tapestry of human-animal relationships, the bond with the domestic cat, Felis catus, remains one of the most enigmatic and beautifully nuanced. Unlike dogs whose loyalty often feels unconditional, cats offer their affection as a discerning privilege, a carefully considered verdict based on a complex assessment of human character. They are silent observers, keen judges of personality, and possessors of an almost preternatural intuition. To understand what kind of people cats dislike is to delve into the very essence of feline consciousness, a world governed by subtle cues, unspoken boundaries, and a deep-seated need for respect and security. Their dislike is rarely a simple, baseless aversion. It is a calculated response to behaviors and energies that disrupt their fundamental sense of well-being. The feline psyche is a landscape shaped by millennia of evolution as both predator and prey. This dual identity has endowed them with a hyper-awareness of their environment, making them exceptionally sensitive to the atmosphere we humans create. A cat's judgment is not merely about who offers the tastiest treats, but about who provides the most profound sense of safety. The people who fail this test, whom cats tend to avoid, distrust, or even fear, often fall into several distinct, yet sometimes overlapping categories. 1. The tempestuous and the loud, disruptors of the peaceful realm. First and foremost, cats are connoisseurs of tranquility. Their ideal world is one of soft sunbeams, quiet corners, and predictable rhythms. Therefore, individuals who embody chaos and cacophony are often met with immediate feline disapproval. The overly energetic and boisterous. Imagine a creature whose hearing is 3 times more acute than your own, and whose every nap is a vital ritual. For such a being, a person who stomps instead of walks, who slams doors, or whose voice is a constant, booming echo, is not just annoying, they are a walking seismic event. Cats value a serene and peaceful atmosphere, so excessively active and noisy people can be genuinely frightening to them. Sudden, jerky movements, a child running pell-mell through the house, an enthusiastic guest gesturing wildly, trigger ancient prey instincts. A startled cat doesn't see a playful human, it sees a potential threat, a hawk's shadow, or a predator's lunge. Scientific studies into feline welfare consistently show that cats prefer quiet environments. They have been observed to actively avoid rooms where a television blares at high decibels or where loud music is playing. The constant auditory assault is a source of chronic stress, which can manifest in physical ways: hiding, loss of appetite, over-grooming, or even stress-induced cystitis. Furthermore, cats are remarkably adept at mirroring the emotional state of their primary caregivers. If you are perpetually tense, anxious, and rushing about in a whirlwind of nervous energy, that tension will transmit itself to your cat. They become living barometers of human stress, and they will naturally withdraw from the source of that agitation. The loud, frantic person is, in the cat's view, the epicenter of a destabilizing storm.
2. The harbingers of anger, sensing the emotional undertow. A cat's intuition extends far beyond the physical realm into the subtle currents of human emotion. They are masterful readers of the emotional landscape, capable of detecting hidden aggression, simmering irritation, or profound sadness long before these feelings surface in overt action. People who cannot manage their anger, this goes beyond someone who shouts. A cat can sense the clenching of a jaw, the subtle tightening of shoulder muscles, the slight change in breathing pattern that signifies suppressed rage. They can recognize the emotional temperature of a room the moment they enter it. A person who is internally furious, even if sitting perfectly still and silent, can emit an energy that a cat finds deeply unsettling. They are living lie detectors for negative emotion. Cats also possess an impressive associative memory when it comes to emotional experiences. If a person has a tendency to express their anger through slamming objects, yelling at family members, or even just radiating a cold, hostile silence, the cat will file that person away in its mental catalog as unpredictable and dangerous. The cat doesn't need to be the direct target of the anger to be affected by it. Witnessing these outbursts is trauma enough. They learn to associate that individual with a volatile and frightening environment. This is compounded by their ability to read tone of voice and body language with expert precision. A sharp, harsh tone, even if the words are benign, can cause a cat's ears to flatten and its body to slink away. The angry person in the feline world is a walking lightning rod, and the cat's sole desire is to stay out of the storm.
3. The boundary crushers, those who disrespect personal autonomy. Perhaps the most common reason for feline disdain is a fundamental disrespect for their personal space and autonomy. Cats are not possessions, they are sovereign beings who share our homes. The people who fail to understand this basic tenet are often perpetually puzzled by their cat's aloofness. The overly affectionate and the intrusive. To a cat, being scooped up without warning, hugged tightly, or subjected to relentless petting is not an expression of love, it is an act of confinement and disrespect. Their personal bubble is a sacred territory. Furthermore, in the lexicon of feline body language, a prolonged, direct stare is not a sign of admiration, it is a challenge, a threat. A person who tries to force eye contact, believing it to be a sign of connection, is instead signaling dominance and aggression, causing the cat to feel vulnerable and exposed. This category also includes those who force interaction. If a cat is sleeping, eating, or simply enjoying its own company, and a person insists on disturbing it for play or cuddles, the cat will quickly learn to associate that person with annoyance and a loss of control. Animal behaviorists universally advise allowing a cat to initiate and choose the terms of interaction. The let them come to you philosophy is the golden rule for earning a cat's trust. The person who respects a cat's subtle no, a twitch of the tail, a flattened ear, a look away, is the person the cat will eventually seek out. The boundary crusher, who holds the cat against its will or ignores its signals, becomes a source of stress, an obstacle to be avoided. 4. The unfamiliar and the aromatically offensive, a sensory assault. A cat's perception of the world is fundamentally different from our own, guided by senses far more acute. Their decisions are heavily influenced by scent and visual cues that we might consider trivial. People of a certain type. Feline memory is deeply associative. If a cat has had a negative experience with a person possessing a specific characteristic, it may generalize that aversion to all similar people. For instance, if a cat was once frightened by a tall man with a deep voice and a beard, it may subsequently feel anxious around all tall, bearded men. Similarly, an unusual item of clothing, a large hat, a flowing coat, or brightly colored gloves, can be perceived as threatening because it alters the familiar human silhouette. The cat's brain creates a pattern. Person with trait X equals fear. This is not prejudice in the human sense, but a survival mechanism. People with unpleasant smells. This point cannot be overstated. A cat's sense of smell is its primary interface with the world, with olfactory receptors approximately 14 times more sensitive than those of a human. They use scent to identify friends, foes, food, and territory. Therefore, a person drenched in strong, artificial odors can be deeply offensive to a cat. Overpowering perfumes, colognes, the sharp scent of alcohol, or the clinging stench of cigarette smoke can be overwhelming, masking the natural scent markers that a cat uses to feel secure. A hand that smells of citrus, a scent many cats dislike, bleach, or spicy food might be actively refused when offered for sniffing. This superior olfaction also explains why cats often gravitate towards people with neutral, natural scents, or those who have just come out of the shower, as the human scent is clean and unadulterated. 5. The unpredictable and the inconsistent. A category that encompasses many of the traits above is simple unpredictability. Cats are creatures of habit who thrive on routine. They find comfort in knowing when meals will arrive, when the human will return home, and what the general rhythm of the household will be. A person who is emotionally volatile, whose schedule is chaotic, or whose behavior is wildly inconsistent represents a breakdown in the cat's carefully ordered universe. One day they are gentle, the next they are brusque. One moment they ignore the cat, the next they demand its attention. This lack of predictability makes it impossible for the cat to feel safe and secure, leading it to maintain a cautious distance. The verdict of affection. Whom do cats adore? To fully understand whom cats dislike, it is instructive to consider the inverse, the kind of people who are invariably blessed with feline purrs and headbutts. Cats bestow their affection upon the gentle and the calm. They are drawn to individuals who move with a quiet purpose, who speak in soft, measured tones. Research has suggested that cats may respond more favorably to higher-pitched, melodic voices, often characteristic of women and children, as these tones are less threatening and perhaps subconsciously associated with the calls of kittens. They adore people who possess what can only be called quiet hands, a gentle, respectful touch that asks for permission rather than demanding compliance. Above all, cats choose companions who respect their boundaries. The person who sits quietly on the sofa, perhaps reading a book, and simply allows the cat to observe, approach, and investigate on its own terms is the person who will win the ultimate prize, a cat choosing their lap as a place of rest. This act is the highest form of feline flattery, a testament to the human's ability to provide a sanctuary of safety, respect, and tranquility. These individuals understand that a cat's love is not taken, but gratefully received when offered. In conclusion, the question of who cats dislike is a profound inquiry into the soul of a remarkable animal. It is not a list of personal failings, but a guide to understanding a different way of being. The people cats avoid are those who, often unknowingly, disrupt the delicate sensory and emotional equilibrium that cats require to thrive. They are the loud, the angry, the intrusive, the pungent, and the unpredictable. By learning to be quieter, calmer, more respectful, and more consistent, we do not just become more likable to cats, we become more mindful, more peaceful humans. In striving to earn the trust of a cat, we are, in fact, invited to become better versions of ourselves. And in the soft, approving purr of a contented feline, we receive a silent, precious verdict, approval from one of nature's most discerning judges.